think there are two types of people in this world: those who have made brilliant moves and those who are yet to make. And this video is useful to both. And those who have made brilliant moves, I think this is a good test to see if you are still in form and are ready to make that brilliant move in your next game. And those who are yet to make, for you this will serve as a good training, and also it will give you a direction on what to work, so that you also get your brilliant move in your game on chess.com very soon. I'm going to start with some tips before I indulge into this position. Before even a tactical idea actually appears, I think it's important to visualize it, especially when it's your opponent's move. Don't while away your time, don't waste your time when it is your opponent's turn. Try to start thinking about possibilities that can give you a trick, a tactic, anything that could be useful to get material, or anything that could help your pieces to go towards your opponent's king. Basically, try and figure out ways in which you can increase your chances to win, even if it is vague or abstract in the position that you are in. For example, here in this position, the player playing white is a pawn down, but the rooks are doubled. This could be put to some use in the future. And if you look at this position and ask what could go wrong for black, then you might notice that black doesn't have a luft for the king. The king doesn't have a safe square. And considering that, white set up a cool trap with queen f3. The trap works only because black made a blunder. But I think in order to increase your chances to win the game, it's important to spot such traps. Black in this position played c5, disconnecting the contact with the rook. The queen is no longer in contact with the rook, and here the situation presents a wonderful opportunity for white to win. And white found that brilliant move. White played queen takes a8, and that's a brilliant move because if rook takes a8, there is rook e8, rook takes e8, and rook takes e8, checkmate. After queen f3, c5, queen a8, black doesn't get the rook back with queen into e1 because white has this intermediate check with queen takes f8, and after king f8 you quietly pick up the queen and win the game. So number one, back rank mate. Next we have this position where it is white has just played knight c3. Next we have this position where white has just played knight c3. And I think this is high time for you to already start thinking about possible ways to win material. One of the ideas that you can think about is this annoying pin. And if that has crossed your mind already, then you can start thinking about what do we do with the pin. You win the pinned piece. And how do you win the pinned piece? By attacking the pinned piece. So knight takes c3 followed by bishop h6. And this bishop is in danger. In order to stop rook into d2, white has to play bishop d3, and then it doesn't stop here. Black has to be consistent and play knight takes d3, and the point is if c takes d3, then there is rook takes d3 and the bishop is lost. And in case of bishop into h6, you have to be alert and find the discovered check, and that is the theme of this position with knight takes f2. It's double discovered check. Check with the rook, check with the knight, plus it's a discovered check, and also it's a fork. So a combination of many tactical themes. Next we have the game between two players, Varun and Selman. It's a correspondence match, and here white played g3. And again, take a moment to see what you would do as black. See if there are any ways you can take advantage of white's position. And you can start by asking yourself, what is wrong with white's position? And you will get this answer that white is not developed. And considering that, you can see that the king on e1 could be vulnerable. Who is defending the queen? It is the king. What if we do something about it and play knight takes f2? And then after king takes f2, you remove the defender, lure the king to e1, from e1 to f2, and then you find bishop into g3 check. And once the bishop is picked, you win the queen. I think this is also a very important theme to eliminate the defender. With knight f2, you are luring the king to f2, and then you're winning the queen on d1. Next we have this position, and it is white to move. Black has just played bishop into e5. He's picked the knight on e5, and I think even in this position white had to think about possible ways in which white could win. So after bishop into e5, after this blunder by black, I think white has a great chance to win the game. Consider the checks, captures, threats and pawn breaks, and then you will notice that you have a deadly move to win the game with queen h7 check. Congratulations if you found this brilliant move. After king h7, there is mate with bishop f7. So again, queen sacrifice is a theme that's fairly common, and if you master this theme, you increase the chances of getting the brilliant move. Next we have this position. Black has just played rook to c1. What will you do as white? Again, if you look at the tactical themes, there is one theme that is pertinent here, and that is the pin. The rook on c1 is hanging, and white can play rook takes b3, and if cb3, there is rook into c1, and that's a win. So pin is also pretty common. Next we have the position with white to move, and when there is a knight involved, your mind should already be considering the fork. With the queen and king on f7 and d5, there is no hint of any fork, but you can bring about a position in which you can fork, and that is possible with a pawn sacrifice with e6, and that happened in the game. After e6, queen e6, there is knight g5, winning the queen thanks to this knight fork. And then comes the classic skewer or x-ray attack. White to play. I have told you the theme now, and now it's your job to find out the move. Alright, kudos if you found bishop into b7, and the point is, if queen b7, there is rook a7, and we have the skewer or x-ray attack. And then there are positions pertaining to pawn promotions or pawn breaks. For example, here black has the pawn on d4, which can be promoted, and there is also a possibility of creating a passer here. Considering this next move is easy, you play d3, and then you play d2, and then you push this pawn, and black wins first, and that's an easy position. Let me increase the level of difficulty. This position, it is black to move, pawn promotion combination. What will you do? The pawn on b6 is on the verge of promotion, but it is black who has a winning possibility, a way to win, and here you need to apply linear calculation. You have to go slightly deeper, and the variation is pretty straightforward. What is the problem? The problem is that pawn is promoting, and how can you stop it? By placing your rook behind the passed pawn. And how can you do that? The rook is on h3, so you have to take it behind. But will that be enough here? No. After rook h1 in this position, then white has rook e3. So rook b3 comes, and it's not possible to win. Maybe black can play king f4 and hold, but in order to win, you must find something extraordinary, and that comes by playing king takes e4, and that's a brilliant move. And after b7, you can use rook h1, because there is a skewer, and then after b8 queen, there is rook c1 followed by rook b1 and the deadly skewer or x-ray attack. So this position had pawn promotion as well as x-ray attack. Next we have this position where it is black to move. White has just played c3, and if you look at the situation, you might feel that there is some sort of a knight fork possible here, but there is a pawn on g2, so you can't really play knight f3. But what knight f3 does is that it also wrecks the cover of the white's king. So you play knight f3, and that's a brilliant move, because after gf3, this knight on h5 is happy to hop on to f4, and there is queen g5 followed by queen g2. And to give you an example of a pawn break, just b3 here, and giving you a moment to see what will you do if there is ab3 or cb3. So pawn breaks are also fairly common. You must keep an eye for possible pawn breaks in the game. If cb3, then you deflect the pawn on b2 with a3 and you win. And in case of a b3, then you deflect the b pawn again and then you win. So that's a simple example of a pawn break. Let's now move to decoy or deflection. In this position, it's black to move, and you would love to play rook f1 check, but there is a queen on d3 defending that threat. So you need to deflect the queen or decoy the queen, because rook f1 will then be a back rank mate. And how do you do that? You play queen takes e4, and that's a brilliant move. And then after queen e4, there follows rook f1, and it's a mate. Next, I think this is also a very important theme, fairly common but often missed by players who are about 600, 800, 1000, 1200. In this position after rook f8, it looks as if black has everything under control, but you have your strengths: the pawn on h7, the bishop on c2, and the rook on e8. The queen is on d2, it could come back to the king side very soon. So you need to find a continuation to coordinate all your forces. And one of the important themes which is not really talked about is the mating threats. So here you just have to ask yourself, what kind of mating threats can I threaten here? Which piece can actually help me threaten checkmate? The answer is fairly clear. It's the queen that can help you in threatening checkmate, and for that to happen, the queen has to go closer to the black's king. And for now, the rook on e8 is threatened. So first you deal with this threat with rook takes f8, and then you bring the queen to threaten a checkmate on g8. And black has no way to prevent this. For example, if black plays bishop g7, white has queen d8 followed by a mate. So keep that in mind, mating threats. And next we have this position. Also, it's a good idea to keep an eye on those pieces which are the edge, or those pieces which are slightly awkwardly placed and they could be trapped. For instance, the knight on h6 here. White has checked the black king, and black can in fact go and capture the knight because the knight is trapped. So the tip I am giving you here is keep an eye on pieces that are awkwardly placed. You might have a chance to trap them. And in this position, black played king f8, and after queen d8 there is king g7, picking up the knight, and there is no danger for the black king. And finally we have this position. White has just played knight f3. It's black to move. So if you look at the position right now, there are no checks or captures, but there are threats. And if you are considering threats, then first you consider mating threats, and then you consider moves that are threatening opponents: queen, rook, knight, bishop, or pawn. So if you go by that order, I think it will be very useful. In this position, you start with attacking the queen, and you realize that the answer is clear. And then you play rook to f4, queen g3, rook g4. The queen has no square apart from h3, and once the queen goes to h3, you ask yourself which is the hanging piece, and you find rook d4. This bishop drops, the bishop is attacking the queen. So that way you win a piece. And in the game, white took queen takes g4, but black won the game after bishop into g4. So remember, attacking moves, attacking threats are also very useful to remember. And now you can see the list on my right: back rank mates, discover and double check, removing the defender or eliminating the defender, queen sacrifice, pin, fork, skewer or x-ray attack, pawn promotion, destroying king's cover, pawn breaks, decoy or deflection, mating threats, attacking queen or other pieces, and then trapping pieces. These are the combinations, these are the themes that I think you need to remember so that you can perform that brilliant move in your game very well. So what are these brilliant moves actually? And how do you get them? I think brilliant moves or the great moves are always the best or nearly the best move in the position. They are also special in their own ways, and it's like a brilliant move is when you sometimes find a piece sacrifice. Also, when the move is played, it should not be as if you are winning no matter what. If that's the only move that wins the game, I think then it gets special attention, and then there are more chances for you to get that brilliant move. I think by practicing these themes, you will be very closer to getting that brilliant move in your next game. I wish you the best in your quest to making that brilliant move on chess.com. And don't forget to tag us on social media when you make that brilliant move. I'll be back with another video soon. Do subscribe to the channel, like the video, take care, and bye bye.